All right, good morning, everybody. It's Sunday morning. I'm going to throw out my weekly NFL picks real quick. I've been trying to knock out some yard work before football starts. I didn't make a video before Thursday night, so we'll hit on a few topics throughout the week and the Thursday night game, even though it has already passed. One of the big things this week was Buffalo fired their offensive coordinator, and the big deal with that is I feel like it's they obviously felt like there were some issues on the offense. Me personally, I feel like he was the scapegoat in the situation. I don't think he was the necessarily the problem with the offense, because Josh Allen is top 5 in pass yards. Cook is, I think he's number 6 in the league in rush yards, and Diggs is top 5 in receiving yards. The production is there, but I think there was just maybe a lack of creativity with the offense. But me personally, I feel like the main issue with Buffalo's offense has been fundamentals. And I say that it's kind of been like a whole team issue. And you kind of saw that with the 12 men on the field on the missed field goal that Denver kicked that gave them 5 yards, and another chance to kick that they kicked and they nailed it to win the game. I think had they not had 12 men on the field, won the game by Denver missing that field goal, I don't think their offensive coordinator would have been fired. I think he was strictly fired because of the loss. But the reason I say fundamentals is, so I think that with the head coach also being the defensive coordinator, he has a lot of his time tied up with the defense, so he has less time to spend with special teams. He has less time to spend with offense, less time to spend on those meetings. And, fundamentals like penalties, fundamentals, all those small things tie in together. And that's something that, I personally feel like a head coach is ultimately responsible for. Yes, you have your position coaches that should be preaching these, but your head coach should be coming behind and hammering down on these things and making sure all the position coaches and the coordinators are getting the job done on the things they should be. And like I said, with the head coach being the defensive coordinator, I don't think he has the time. And I think that's why you're seeing some of these mistakes. You're seeing some drop passes. You're seeing less ball security. You're seeing Josh Allen, because, Josh Allen's thrown a lot of interceptions, but I don't think all of them are on him. Obviously, the first one was a tipped pass by the receiver. I think it was to Gabe Davis. The fumble on the opening drive by Cook, that was just, ball security. The bobbled handoff in the backfield, ball security issue with Josh Allen. So it was a lot of fundamental things, and to me, that's what it's looked like over the past month, is more fundamental issues than anything else. So I think firing the offensive coordinator, I think it was a move to try to send a message, but also I feel like it's like, we got to blame somebody, and you're the easiest person to blame. I feel like it was more of a scapegoat move than anything, but it is what it is. He got removed, replaced, whatever you want to say, fired. So that was really the big news early in the week after the Monday night game. We found out sometime Monday or Tuesday or maybe even Wednesday, that Deshaun Watson is out for the season with his shoulder, with the injury he sustained late in the game against Baltimore last week. And that definitely hammers Cleveland's Super Bowl chances. I think they had a decent chance to be a Super Bowl contender with Watson if he played well. Whoever backs him up and takes his place the rest of the season, if they play well, they definitely have strong playoff potential and possibly AFC Championship potential, but I don't think they have ultimately I don't think they have Super Bowl potential without very good quarterback play. The defense is playing exceptionally well, but you get into January football and you're going to need more than just good defense. You're going to need the offense to do something, and whoever's at the helm of the offense is going to have to play soundly and fundamentally well, not turn the ball over, hand the ball off a lot, which is easy, but make some key throws. Because, I mean, you need a game manager. I know they brought in Joe Flacco for a workout, and Joe Flacco is a pretty solid option. He can make some good throws and make good reads, make good decisions, but you're going to need a quarterback that you can rely on to make, I would say, anywhere from 8 to 12 passes, like key passes a game, and then hand the ball off a lot. And I say key passes of like maybe on third downs or, some key plays on 2-minute drives, things like that. For the Thursday night game, I know it's already passed. Baltimore was hosting Cincinnati. I had Cincinnati picked. They lost. So I know the last 2 weeks I didn't make videos before the Thursday night games, and I had the winners picked. But in this case, I had the loser picked. So definitely trying to show that even though I did not make the video ahead of time, I'm not picking the winner just because they won. Like, I'm picking who I actually thought would win the game, and I thought Cincinnati would win. Obviously, Joe Burrow went out of that game after an early touchdown pass to Mixon, had some obvious pain in his throwing hand or wrist. At the time, it was unknown, but now it has basically been reported that he is expected to pretty much miss the season, to have I believe they said they believe it's a torn ligament in his wrist, on his throwing hand, so his right wrist. So Cincinnati was borderline. I think they were definitely a wild card team, possibly a division winning team with a healthy Joe Burrow, but now without him, I think their playoff chances are doomed. I think this bodes well for both Buffalo and the New York Jets. And I say the Jets strictly because of the reports of Aaron Rodgers. He said on the Pat McAfee show that after Thanksgiving, he intends to be with the team full time. So roughly starting next Monday, he's going to be back with the team full time. That means he is essentially done all he can do with his rehab group, and then the rest of his rehab will be with the team. And having him in weekly meetings, things like that, could definitely elevate the offense that is struggling. They have not scored offensive touchdown in several games. They've lost several close games, but with Cincinnati really falling off out of the playoff picture, that really allows Buffalo and New York to have a better chance to make the wild card race. So, and if the Jets are definitely in contention and Rodgers is capable of playing, a mere 3 to 3.5, 4 months post Achilles tear, he's going to. And if they make the playoffs with their defense, if the offense can play better, they can be a dangerous team, because their defense has played really well against some very good quarterbacks this year, and their offense just couldn't get the job done. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on. I know the NFL is investigating the Bengals because they did not report Joe Burrow's injury. I know they weren't required to post injury reports because they didn't really practice this week, being a short week. So it was all like projections, but the fact that nothing was even mentioned at all, it's kind of suspicious. So you could see the Bengals get fined or potentially lose a draft pick over that situation. Be something worth keeping an eye on heading into the off season. But we'll jump straight into our Sunday game picks. Right off the bat, noon game, we have the Green Bay Packers hosting the LA Chargers. This is, I believe, a 3.5 point game. Chargers are favorite on the road, and there's been several games this year where teams have come in and been the favorite in Lambeau, and in the past you haven't really seen that really over the course of really the last 30 years. I know Aaron Rodgers had like a couple seasons, broke collarbone, and some seasons where he missed 4, 5, 6 games, and in those times, you would see other teams be favorites in Lambeau, but it's because Rodgers wasn't playing. But over the last 30 years with him and Favre at quarterback, you rarely ever saw other teams be a favorite in Lambeau, and it's kind of the same situation like Kansas City right now. There's no team in the league that's going to be a favorite on the road in Kansas City. Like, Kansas City at home is going to be a favorite no matter who they're playing. It was the same thing with Tom Brady in New England. They were never underdogs at home. And, you see that with the good teams in the league. So this definitely shows that Vegas obviously doesn't think Green Bay is a good team. They don't think they have much of a home field advantage. And the team has shown that they don't. So all that being said, I know the Chargers have a weak defense, so this could be somewhat of a get-right game for Green Bay's offense, trying to give them a little bit of momentum, which would be good because they play Thursday on Thanksgiving they go on the road to Detroit. I don't see them winning that game whatsoever, and it's hard to say, but ultimately in this game, I think the Chargers offense is a little bit too good, and our defense they've held people to low amount of points a lot this season, but they've given up a lot of yards, and this offense, it's very potent. Justin Herbert, their passing game is very good. They've got Eckler who can be productive on the ground, so I don't see Green Bay being able to pull this one out. I think the Chargers win. Next we have the Browns hosting the Steelers. This again is without Deshaun Watson. Ultimately, Pittsburgh has had so many offensive struggles. I don't think they're going to pull this one out. I think Cleveland wins this game at home. I think it's a defensive game on both sides for both teams, but I think Cleveland pulls it out. Next, we have Arizona on the road in Houston. Kyler Murray's second game back. He didn't look terrible last week, so he should continue to improve on a week-to-week basis. I believe Houston's coming out of a bye, so they should be fairly healthy. I'm not sure. I think Houston's coming out of a bye. I'm not 100% certain on that. But ultimately, I think Houston wins this game. I think Stroud has been playing extremely well. And what was I saying? I kind of lost my train of thought. I got sidetracked on thinking if they had a bye week last week or not. I think they did play, actually. I'm not sure. But either way, I think Houston wins this game. I think it'll be somewhat of a close game, but, you got DeMeco Ryans has Houston playing really well. C.J. Stroud's playing really well. And I just don't see... Houston played last week. They played Cincinnati and won. It was an upset. That's what it was. I think Houston continues their momentum of playing well, and I think they beat Arizona. Next, we have Jacksonville hosting Tennessee. This is a good matchup for Tennessee, and I say that strictly because Derrick Henry historically has went off on Jacksonville, but I think Jacksonville wins this game. I think they bounce back from an embarrassing loss to the 49ers last week, of like a 34-3 loss, something like that. I think they'll want to get the ship back right. You have a good head coach, good quarterback. I think they'll get back on track today and win. We have Miami hosting the Las Vegas Raiders. I know I believe it's Antonio Pierce, the interim head coach. He has won his first two games. I do not see him winning this one. I think he will fall to 2-1 in his record, and Miami will win this game. Next, we have Carolina hosting Dallas. This is a gimme game. It's going to be Dallas for sure. There's no way that the Panthers are going to contain Dallas's offense. Statistically, they have a good pass defense, but they have a terrible run defense, and that's kind of like the same with what Green Bay has. Teams can run the ball on them, so they don't throw the ball. They just run it all game. So defensively, it looks like they don't have a bad pass defense, but when they have played good offenses, they have given up a lot of yards. So I don't see them slowing Dallas down, and obviously with Dallas's defense being a strong defense and a rookie quarterback, it's not a good matchup. Carolina's not going to contend in this one. Dallas wins. Next, we have Detroit hosting Chicago. I'm not sure if Fields will be playing or not. I have not seen, but I don't think it matters. I think Detroit will win this game. They are a very good team, a very, very hot team right now. They're a very well-coached team. And in all honesty, I think they have one of the best cultures in the NFL. And I say that because out of all the teams in the NFL, if someone had told me right now you can go play for an NFL team, not tell me what position or what side of the ball, but just tell me I could play on a team, I would have to pick after Green Bay, because I would not turn that down. But if I couldn't pick Green Bay, it would be Detroit. Dan Campbell has such a good culture, and I think he buys into his players buy into him, and they have a great culture. And I would love to play for a guy like Dan Campbell. And Detroit is sitting in a great position. They have the second best record in the NFC. They have 2 losses, only behind 1 loss with Philly. And Philly has a rough schedule over the next 5 weeks. Dallas has an easy schedule this week and next, and then they have a rough 5-game schedule. San Francisco's already lost 3 games, and it's always possible they could drop another one. They are playing Philly, so that's a game they could drop. I believe they're still going to have to play Seattle again. I'm not sure exactly what San Francisco's schedule is down the stretch, but they could easily drop a game. And Detroit could very well be in a position to win the 1 seed in the NFC. Get that bye week and have home field advantage, which would be huge for them. And their schedule, I don't think, is that difficult. Obviously, I think they're playing Minnesota again. I think they have to play them a second time. I know they're playing Dallas, which is going to be a tough game for them. But I think Dallas is really the only game on their schedule that's that difficult. But definitely worth keeping an eye on Detroit throughout the rest of the season. But I got Detroit beating Chicago today. Next, we have Washington hosting, had a fly on the screen, the New York Giants. New York Giants are in disarray. Washington has played really well and been really competitive in a lot of games, lost several close games. Sam Howell is leading the league in pass yards right now, which I know it's not 100% accurate because some teams have had byes and some teams haven't. So I don't really buy into that a whole lot, but he's been slinging it, and I think that will continue today. Washington will beat New York. Next, we have San Francisco hosting Tampa Bay. San Francisco coming out of their bye last week, throttling the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I think they will throttle the Tampa Bay Buccaneers today to get back on, to stay on track. They have a lot of offensive momentum after last week, and I think they will continue that, and they will continue to stay up there in the upper echelon of the NFC. Tampa Bay will go down in San Francisco. Next, we have Buffalo hosting the New York Jets. Kind of talked about both these teams having some wild card hope with the Joe Burrow injury in Cincinnati. Ultimately, I think Buffalo's defense will play well enough to not let the Jets score much. I know this is a big rematch from Week 1 that the Jets won on a late punt return, I believe, or maybe in overtime. But I don't see the Jets being able to score enough points to win today. And after firing a coordinator, I think Buffalo will be a little bit more refocused. I think like I said, I thought their issues was more fundamental, so I think there'll be an emphasis on that. I think Buffalo will win today. Next, we have the Rams hosting Seattle. Don't know the status of Matthew Stafford. He had a injury. I don't remember what it was, but it was like throw an arm, either hand, wrist, shoulder, something. This is kind of a rematch from Week 1 where Seattle got throttled by the Rams. Do not see that happening today. I think Seattle will win this game on the road in LA. The late game tonight, we have Minnesota on the road in Denver. I know Denver's been on a little hot streak. Their defense is playing really well. Minnesota has played really well on both sides of the ball as of late. Been a very hot team. They're on a 5 or 6 game win streak. I think Minnesota, even though they are the underdog, I still think they will win today. So I have Minnesota picked tonight. And the Monday night game, probably one of the most anticipated games of the year. This is a rematch of the Super Bowl with the Chiefs hosting the Eagles. So a lot of talk with this game about the Kelce brothers, Travis and Jason. Obviously Travis, the tight end for the Chiefs, Jason, the center for the Eagles. So they will be on the field against each other, not at the same time because they both play offense, but they will be facing each other. Parents will be at the game. I'm not sure if Taylor Swift will be at the game, but I know it's been reported that the Kelce family and the Swift family will be meeting each other at the game. So that's something that's been highly talked about, which has nothing to do with the game itself, but it's built hype up for the game. I think this will be a good match. Obviously, Kansas City defense has been playing really well. It's a very good defense. The offense has had struggles. Philly's secondary is very weak. Their run defense is very good. So Patrick Mahomes should not have a hard time lighting them up. And at the same time, I think Philly's offense is stout enough that even though Kansas City's defense has played well, they should be able to score. So this should be a really good game. I think it'll be a really close game, but ultimately I'm calling for Philadelphia to upset the Chiefs. I think they win this rematch. They really need it. As I've said, I think if they have a 5-game stretch where it's very difficult, where they're playing I believe they're playing Kansas City this week. I believe San Francisco maybe next week, followed by Dallas the week after that. I think they play Seattle in that stretch. And then I'm not sure who the 4th team is. Maybe Buffalo. Yeah, Buffalo's in there. So they have a difficult 5-game stretch, but if they can win 3 of the 5, I think they pretty much lock up the 1 seed in the NFC. And I say that depending on what Detroit does. I think they will lock it up over I think they'll lock the division up over Dallas by doing that. Because even if Dallas wins out and Philly loses 2 of the next 5, but they finish the season with 3 easy games, if they split the games between Philly and Dallas, that puts them with a tied record and tied division record. Next tiebreaker will be conference games, I believe. They could do common opponents, but I think that's further down because they play every team in one division, and if you split, I don't see that really being an issue because I think they'll have the same record against those teams, and it'll go to conference record, and Philly will have less conference losses ultimately than what I think Dallas will. Because I think every one of Dallas's losses has been conference, whereas Philly's only loss has been out of conference. So that could matter for tiebreak purposes. But if they win tonight, or if they beat San Francisco, they basically put themselves in a position to only have to worry about Detroit at the 1 seed in the NFC. So over the next few weeks, I know it's like week 11, week 10, week 11. I think it's week 11. So ultimately, with this week and 7 more weeks left in the NFL, you're really going to start seeing some playoff seedings start take shape in both conferences. And winning this week could be a huge win for Philly and set them up for a strong playoff run. So I think that's what's going to happen. We'll be back tomorrow, maybe Tuesday, try to go over some of these games, these results. I finished last week 10-4 on my record. I believe that puts me at 99, and I believe it's 99-50 on the season. So right at 66% win percentage. We're trying to bump that up over 70. We'll see how we do this week. Hope everybody enjoys some football. Hope your team wins, unless you are a Chargers fan, in which I hope they lose. Don't think they will, but we will catch y'all all tomorrow or Tuesday. Have a good one. Enjoy some football.